Before the baby arrived, the house was already full of life. It was a place of vibrant color, with bright paintings on the walls and sunlight spilling across the floor. And at the very heart of it all was Rio, a scarlet macaw with feathers as fiery as a sunset. Rio was the star of the show. He was used to being the center of attention. Visitors would stop and marvel at his beauty. Voices would rise in excitement when he spread his magnificent wings, and his playful calls were always met with laughter. He was expressive, impossible to ignore, a living piece of art. Then Maya came home. Unlike Rio, she arrived quietly. She was a tiny bundle wrapped in soft fabric, barely moving, her sounds small and uncertain. The contrast was striking, one creature bursting with color and sound, the other defined by softness and stillness. At first, Rio kept his distance. From his perch near the window, he simply watched. He studied the new rhythm of the house, how his humans moved slower, spoke in softer tones, and dimmed the lights earlier. The entire world seemed to be adjusting itself around something incredibly fragile. Rio would often tilt his head, listening intently. Baby sounds were strange, unpredictable, almost unfinished. But there was an honesty in Maya's cries and coos. There was no performance, no intention to impress. It was pure, raw feeling. And Rio listened. Days turned into weeks, and a subtle change began in Rio. He started using his voice differently. When Maya cried loudly, overwhelmed by the new world, Rio stayed silent. But when she made soft, happy coos, he would answer with gentle clicks, low and careful. It wasn't simple imitation, it was adaptation. He was learning a new language. One afternoon, Maya was lying on a soft blanket near the window. The sunlight streamed in, catching Rio's feathers and turning their brilliant red into shimmering gold. Slowly, deliberately, he began to climb down from his perch. Every movement was measured, precise. This wasn't the playful scrambling he usually did. This was something else, curiosity mixed with a profound sense of respect. He stopped a short distance away. Maya turned her head and saw him. Her big, curious eyes widened, not with fear, but with pure wonder. To a baby, bright colors and gentle movements are the most fascinating things in the world, and Rio was both. She reached out a tiny hand, her little fingers opening and closing in the air, an invitation. Rio leaned forward just slightly, just enough for her hand to brush against the very edge of his wing. He didn't flinch or pull away. The touch was brief, clumsy, and utterly innocent. But in that small moment, everything changed. A connection was forged. From that day on, Rio made a point to position himself where Maya could always see him. He no longer sought attention the way he used to. He became quieter, more intentional in his actions. When Maya babbled her first nonsensical words, Rio would respond with soft whistles, carefully lowering his volume to match hers. Their communication became a beautiful dance of sight and sound. Maya learned to smile whenever Rio tilted his head in that curious way, and Rio learned to become perfectly still when he sensed Maya was getting overstimulated. His bright feathers became a source of calm, his loud voice a tool for controlled, gentle sound. One evening, as rain tapped against the windows, Maya was fussy. She was tired but restless, and nothing her parents did seemed to soothe her. They rocked her, they hummed softly, but her cries continued. Rio watched from his perch, taking it all in. And then, he did something extraordinary. Slowly he began to hum. It wasn't a song or a call he had ever made before. It was a low, rhythmic sound he had learned simply by listening to the quiet hums of her parents. It wasn't perfect, but it was steady. Maya immediately quieted. Her teary eyes searched the dim room until they found him. The sound continued, soft and repetitive, like a gentle heartbeat. Her breathing slowed, her small body relaxed against her mother's shoulder, as she drifted off to sleep. There was no applause, no one even noticed at first. But from that night on, Rio's quiet hum became a cherished part of the house's evening rhythm. As the months passed, Maya grew stronger. She learned to sit up on her own, and then came the most wonderful sound of all, her laugh. Every joyful giggle seemed to awaken something equally joyful in Rio. He would flap his wings gently, not to fly, but as a pure expression of shared happiness. When Maya learned to clap her tiny hands together, Rio would click his beak in perfect rhythm. When she squealed with delight, he would answer with a controlled excitement, careful never to overwhelm her. He was learning boundaries, empathy, things we don't often credit animals with understanding. Their bond wasn't built on grand gestures or dramatic moments. It was built on a delicate balance. It was about bright, fiery colors learning to be soft. It was about a small, fragile human learning to find joy in quiet observation. And then came the moment that solidified it all. The first word Maya clearly formed wasn't mama or dada. One afternoon, looking towards the colorful bird, she said, "R." It's imperfect, breath-filled, and absolutely real. Rio froze for a second, then leaned forward, his eyes bright, his feathers lifting just slightly. He wasn't loud, he wasn't dramatic, he was simply present. He understood. This isn't a story about a bird saving a baby, or an animal acting like a human. It's a story about contrast becoming harmony. It's about a creature made of vibrant color learning the art of gentleness, and the baby learning the language of joy through movement and sound. In that colorful, love-filled house, every single day added another quiet, beautiful layer to a bond that didn't need words or explanation. Because sometimes the deepest love doesn't whisper, and sometimes it doesn't roar. Sometimes it simply learns when to be bright and when to be soft. Thanks for watching.